Chapter 1656. Fang Yuan was saved. At this depth, the sea was entirely pitch black, but Fang Yuan's vision was dark green. All right, this new goo that I exchanged for is quite useful. With it, I can barely see in the deep sea. Fang Yuan was quite happy. The deep sea was complex. One could not shine light here carelessly, or predators might be lured to oneself unknowingly. In this dark green area, there were some deep black patches. They were black oil, of course. The black oil tangled and weaved together like huge pythons. They were almost still, but the visual impact was huge. Fang Yuan breathed in deeply. The gills on his face moved as they took in oxygen from seawater, allowing him to breathe underwater. Calming down, he carefully approached the black oil. He stretched out his arms and stopped when he was several meters away from the black oil. Next, he activated his goo worm. A bright blue light slowly gathered in his palms. The two blue lights formed into beams of light that shined into the black oil. Droplets and lumps of black oil flowed along the blue light beams and slowly gathered into Fang Yuan's palms. Fang Yuan's palms were like two bottomless holes sucking in black oil. Time passed, but Fang Yuan continued to keep his alertness up. That he not only maintained his investigative methods on the surroundings, he also paid attention to the primeval essence storage in his aperture, because he used multiple goo worms at once. Fang Yuan's primeval essence expenditure was not low. After a while, he reached a critical level. It is time to stop and return to the sea surface. Sigh, my aptitude is too low. If I had a great aptitude, I would be able to last much longer. Fang Yuan sighed in his heart. At the same time, he stopped using his goo worms, preparing to leave. But in the process of leaving, an accident happened. Suddenly, a huge force emerged in the peaceful sea, sending Fang Yuan flying. Oh no, an impact current. Fang Yuan's heart shook. He wanted to use goo worms to escape. These impact currents seemed like normal seawater, but when life forms entered them, they would emit a strong pushing force. Bam, bam, bam. In the process of escaping, Fang Yuan met with several impact currents. His bones were fractured and blood oozed out of his nose and mouth. Fang Yuan gritted his teeth. His eyes were wide opened and bloodshot. He tried to find a way to escape this predicament, but he was not in the best condition. He had used a lot of his primeval essence. At the same time, the scale of these impact currents was huge, and Fang Yuan lacked the method to deal with them. He could only dodge using his luck. Soon, Fang Yuan expended all his primeval essence. An impact current from behind pushed him into the black oil. Am I going to die here? Fang Yuan could not escape. He watched as the black oil stuck to him, before it spread and devoured him. His primeval essence was used up, but thankfully, the gills were made from transformation path goo worms. They could last for some time. But this was truly his last few moments. This is the final moment of my life. Sigh. I wanted to accumulate more black oil to gather wealth in exchange for a way to get rid of my black oil corrosion from the market. But now, I do not need to worry about this problem anymore. Fang Yuan smiled bitterly. He fell into deep despair. Eventually, the black oil completely covered him. His body was enveloped by the black oil. Am I going to die? Death was approaching. But Fang Yuan was completely peaceful in his heart, or rather, more accurately, he was indifferent. Towards his death, he was indifferent about it. All right, so be it if I die. After coming to this world, after so many years, I have been wandering from place to place. I am just too tired, too tired. Who can truly avoid death? I might as well rest now. Fang Yuan shut his eyes. After some unknown period of time, he slowly regained his senses. In a daze, he heard someone who was around him speak. Saintus, why did you save this mortal goo master? All these years, haven't the humans bullied us enough? That's right, Saintus, this is clearly an oil-collecting goo master. This sea area belongs to us mermen. He is a thief that steals our black oil. He is too shameless. We can let him die on his own. At this time, a kind and refreshing voice resounded. Since we met, how can we leave him in the lurch? I know he is a human and not a merman, but he is still a living being. Humans bully us, but a lone goo master like him is innocent. He is here to steal black oil, but how much can a person take? He took such risks to steal black oil. It shows how ostracized and troubled he is. Why should we be stingy in helping him? Saintus, you are just too kind. Is that fine? He is not anyone important. He is too lowly. There is no use in saving him. Fang Yuan tried his best and slowly managed to open his eyes. His field of vision was still blur. He saw three vague figures: white, blue, and red. Human body, fish tails. From the blur figures, he could tell that they were three mermen. Mermen was a type of variant human. They could breathe underwater naturally and live. Mermen were attached to rivers and water bodies. They were most skilled at water path. Be they male or female, they were very beautiful and good-looking. Thank you. I will repay this kindness. May I know your names? Fang Yuan spoke with difficulty. His hoarse voice became smoother as he talked. But this was his current limit. His body was too weak. He could not muster any strength. These words were all that he could say. Humph, we do not need your repayment. If not for Saintus, we would not save a dirty human like you. You do not need to know our names. But Saintus is named Xia Han. You should remember it. Etch this into your memory forever. You were incredibly lucky to have been saved by Saintus. All right, you too, enough. The white figure sighed in a gentle voice. She said to Fang Yuan, even though you feel weak now, I have already healed your injuries. You were corroded by black oil earlier. I cannot heal this injury in one try, but I have left you a goo worm. You can heal yourself with it. Saying so, the white figure brought her two attendants and left, getting out of Fang Yuan's vision. Fang Yuan wanted to speak, but he had exhausted his strength. He could not speak. The extreme fatigue and weakness had his vision turned black again. This was what happened in the 500 years of his previous life. Fang Yuan's gaze became clear. He returned from his recollection.The this time. He had already led the fishing village's goo masters back to the island. This was one of the old village heads' houses. It was not dark.The dusk. The lingering rays of light entered the room through the windows. Outside the window, seagulls were flying around the beach, chirping loudly. The mermaid who was saved was a young woman. She was still unconscious now. After Fang Yuan saved her, her pale face had started to become rosy again. She had thick eyelashes that casted shadows on her face. Looking at this mermaid girl, Fang Yuan was absent-minded for a bit. Looking at her carefully, she did not look like Xia Han from Fang Yuan's memories. Their appearances were very different, even though both of them were equally beautiful. They are only similar in disposition, and the biggest difference between this mermaid girl and Xia Han was the color of their scales. Mermen had human bodies and fish tails. Their scales were of varying colors. Blue and red were common, while white and black were very rare. White-scaled mermen and mermaids could become saints and saintesses, while black-scaled were treated as cursed and inauspicious. They would be killed the moment they were born. Their parents were often the killers. Xia Han was a white-scaled mermaid. She was the saintess of the merman tribe. And this mermaid girl had blue scales. It was very common among mermen. Master Chu. At this time, the old village head and the middle-aged goo master arrived at the door. Fang Yuan nodded lightly as they came in. After collecting black oil from the deep sea, be it the old village head or the middle-aged goo master, they looked at Fang Yuan with utmost respect. That on one hand, Fang Yuan had unfathomable strength, and on the other hand, Fang Yuan gave them immense benefits. Water shell goo was so useful, they had all experienced it on this trip. And most importantly, Fang Yuan promised after returning that he was going to create a goo worm for them. This goo worm would be very useful to them. Master Chu, food has been prepared. Should you? The old village head smiled. I will take care of her, don't worry, master. When she wakes up, I will bring her to you. The middle-aged goo master added. Fang Yuan looked at the mermaid girl as he shook his head. He walked out of the house. No need to see me. When she wakes up, get her to leave. Even though this is the territory of humans, and her action is akin to stealing, in my opinion, she has a hard life. Give me some face and let her off. Master Chu, don't worry, we will not find trouble with her. Yeah, all these years, there had been many mermen who came here to steal black oil. We have always tried to turn a blind eye to it. After all, we cannot finish extracting all the black oil under the sea. It is fine to share some. The old village head chuckled. Fang Yuan nodded. He had already gotten whatever information he needed from the old village head and this young mermaid girl through soul search. There was something interesting in the outside world. Merfolk had lower status than humans. Both sides had huge conflicts and often fought. But here, merfolk and humans had better relationships. They interacted a lot and were at peace. There were even instances of marriage between them. It seems that this grotto heaven is the paradise of humans and also merfolk. Chapter 1657. Clues of Regret Gu. Inside the small house, there was a huge turbulence. Dark red lights moved like waves, surging around Fang Yuan. He was refining Gu. His 10 fingers were outstretched. His 2 hands were holding onto an eerie ball. This ball was basin-sized. It was flowing on the surface. This was the essence of the black oil that Fang Yuan extracted. The Gu refinement was already at the late stage. Now was a crucial moment. Fang Yuan willed as a crack opened in his immortal aperture's entrance. He took out a piece of shiny golden scale. The scale flew into the black oil ball, causing a small explosion. In Fang Yuan's vision, he saw that the instant the black oil ball exploded, it expanded rapidly. At the same time, the golden light shined in the black oil ball, before condensing into a small. Fang Yuan's 10 fingers vibrated. The black oil ball floated into the air and started to revolve around itself. During the process, the golden light continued to flicker and a stench started to spread. These were the impurities that Fang Yuan expelled. The stench was about to permeate out of the house when the immortal formation's light flickered. It was like a pot lid that was blue in color. It trapped the stench and prevented it from going out. This stench was an immortal material containing food path. It was more terrifying than the black oil. If mortals came into contact with it, they would die. Fang Yuan's Gu refinement was already immortal level, because it involved 2 immortal materials. One was the black oil, the other was the golden scale. It was pulled from a desolate beast golden dragonfish. After a series of deductions, Fang Yuan found that the golden dragonfish and the black oil had a high level of compatibility. 0.1 scale was not enough, of course. Fang Yuan continued to toss in more golden scales. The black oil ball slowly turned into a black gold color. A lot of incomplete Gu worm silhouettes were seen in the ball. Fang Yuan was trying to refine gather oil Gu. This was specially made for the Gu masters of the fishing village. Fang Yuan created the recipe himself. He also used the information in Shadow Sect's True Inheritance and Lang Ye's True Inheritance as reference. Fang Yuan was truly trying to help the fishing village's oil collecting Gu masters. The reason? It was because of the Merit Obelisk's mission. What was merit? Fang Yuan had been thinking about this problem from the start. Were the missions on the Merit Obelisk so simple? The more Fang Yuan thought about it, the more he could feel a certain objective that Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable was trying to achieve. Thus, helping these fishing village Gu masters was meant to complete the mission and also to ascertain the conjecture that Fang Yuan had in his mind. Fang Yuan did bad things without feeling any remorse. Similarly, he did good things without any changes in emotion. To be honest, he had already become indifferent towards good deeds and bad deeds. He did not care about kindness or evil. In this world, there were only 2 things, those that benefited him and those that harmed him. Right now, in the face of Paradise Earth's true inheritance, Fang Yuan would be willing to commit good deeds to ensure that he gains the maximum benefits. Xiaolin slowly opened her eyes. She was awake. I am not dead. After being in a daze momentarily, she reacted and her eyes started to shine. You are quite a lucky mermaid. If we found you any later, you would be dead. You would be corroded into black oil. The middle-aged Gu master saw that the mermaid woke up and walked into the room. My name is Xiaolin. Did you save me? The mermaid girl struggled to get up. Not me. It was Master Chu. You should really thank him. He was the one who healed your injuries. The middle-aged Gu master smiled as he spoke. The mermaid girl inspected herself upon the reminder. She was extremely happy after that. Unbelievable. I was corroded by the black oil and was heavily injured. Even the greatest healing Gu master in my tribe would not be able to save me. But I am completely healed now. The middle-aged Gu master smiled arrogantly. Of course. It was Master Chu who saved you after all. Saying so, the middle-aged Gu master thought of the scene when Fang Yuan saved her. He made all of the Gu masters dazzled. Most of them could not regain their senses after a long while. Master Chu saved my life and healed my injuries. How can I not repay this kindness? The mermaid girl pursed her lips. She showed a firm expression. Sir, please bring me to him. No matter the price, I must repay him. All right, follow me. The middle-aged Gu master considered it for a moment before walking out of the room. The mermaid girl Xiaolin forced herself up. She used a Gu worm to create a wave that carried her as she moved behind the middle-aged Gu master. The two went into an estate. They got past the garden and arrived in front of Fang Yuan's house. Rumble. Suddenly, a black golden light burst up into the sky from the small house. This is... What happened? This phenomenon could be seen from all over the surroundings. Many of the Gu masters in the village were alerted as they came to observe. After dinner, Master Chu said that he was going to refine Gu. He locked himself in the room and instructed that no one was to disturb him. The old village head watched as he said, "This means that Master Chu's Gu refinement has already made progress. Master Chu's Gu refinement attainment is simple to profound. Look at this scene. His Gu refinement must not be simple at all. Thanks for stating the obvious. Master Chu is extraordinary. How can he be simple?" Xiaolin listened carefully. These Gu masters' conversation made her think of a supreme Gu master expert. He must have white hair, a kind temperament, a cool and composed nature, great strength, and immense kindness and magnanimity. As the dark gold light faded, a fragrance spread around the area. A huge hole was created at the roof of the small house that a moment later, the door of the small house was pushed open. Fang Yuan walked out. The fishing village's Gu masters were all waiting in anticipation. The moment Fang Yuan came out, they bowed and greeted. "Master Chu." The mermaid girl Xiaolin looked at Fang Yuan curiously. It turned out that Master Chu was so young. She did not expect this. She quickly knelt down. "Master Chu, you saved my life. I need to repay this kindness even if I have to break all the bones in my body." 2-inch no need. It was just a simple matter. Fang Yuan gave the mermaid girl a glance. She was not Xiahanimo after all. The deceased had already passed on. She was gone with the wind. 2 days later, Fang Yuan returned to the Merit Obelisk. Oh? A new mission appeared. Fang Yuan's gaze focused on the changes of the obelisk. There were 10 missions originally. Now there were still 10, but most of the content had changed. And on another side of the Merit Obelisk, the rankings had changed too. "I am third." Fang Yuan soon found his ranking. He was a little joyful. His guesses were already affirmed. Looking at this from Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable's perspective, merit was helping others. It was the action of good deeds. Fang Yuan saw his ranking and compared it with the others. He was sure. If he did this alone and collected the black oil personally, he would not place third. Of course, helping these Gu masters without putting in work was not possible too. Thus, after refining gather oil Gu, he distributed them and went into the sea, collecting most of the black oil, leaving only a small amount for the fishing village's Gu masters. At the base of the Merit Obelisk, there were some scattered information path. Mortal Gu. Fang Yuan picked them up and looked into them. As he expected, these were left behind by Miao Ming Shun and others. They had recorded their findings. Some found that humans and mermen lived together in peace with equal statuses. Some chose difficult missions. Even though they killed the desolate beast, many humans were implicated and lost their lives. When they returned, they found that they were at the bottom of the ranking. Some understood that the meaning of the merit board was to do good deeds and help people, but they had only guessed it. The conjecture was not confirmed. These Gu immortals were chosen by Miao Mingxin personally. They were not idiots. Miao Mingxin's discovery made Fang Yuan's eyes shine. He found that they were not the first group who came in here. There were Gu immortals who entered before. The most valuable information came from Feng Jiang that he found that there was a forbidden area in this paradise. It was a sea area that people called demon suppression regret, crying, S-E-A-I-N legend. After Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable turned this grotto heaven into a paradise. He suppressed a supreme demon in this sea area. He set up a super immortal formation to make him regret and repent. Thus, this supreme demon's cries of regret could be heard in the sea area all the time. Fang Yuan saw this information. The name of a Gu worm appeared in his mind. Regret Gu. Chapter 1658, Sea Market Gambling Den. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. Fang Yuan dropped an information path Mortal Gu casually in front of Rank 8 Immortal Gu House Merit Obelisk. Inside this Gu worm, Fang Yuan truthfully mentioned his experience of collecting black oil on the small island. as well as his experiment towards the merit board. If Gu immortals arrived after him, they would see this intel as well. There was no need to hide anything. Firstly, they had their own guesses already, and secondly, it was easy to verify. Fang Yuan might as well reveal this before they had experimented. Or rather, in plain words, this secret is not a secret. Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable set up this true inheritance intentionally. He wants people to carry out acts of kindness. This was the style of Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable. At this point, Fang Yuan was already fully convinced that this was Paradise Earth's true inheritance, that Gu Masters and Gu Immortals leave behind their respective inheritances. This was the greatest cultural trait of this world. Every inheritance contained the person's markings, their style, or their important unfulfilled wishes. For example, the Flower Wine Monk's inheritance was to take revenge on Guyu clan. Even in death, he wanted revenge. Thus, he left the video behind of the Guyu clan leader's defeat. He dug the underground cave and lured Fang Yuan to destroy the Guyu clan's spirit spring. Or like 88 True Yang building. This was the luck path true inheritance left by Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. The goal was to help the entire Huang Jin bloodline to maintain their rule of the region. It was Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's act of helping his descendants, and He Fan's true inheritance. He Fan originally intended to pass everything to his granddaughter, but with twists of fate, his wishes were not fulfilled, and Shadow Sect's true inheritance. If Spectral Soul Demon Venerable had not failed and was not captured by Heavenly Court, this true inheritance would not exist. But against his wishes, he was captured, and Fang Yuan remained as his lingering hope in this desperate situation. To increase his strength, Spectral Soul formed Shadow Sect's true inheritance. Every inheritance was different. Paradise Earth's true inheritance was different from the rest. It was filled with serenity, kindness, warmth, and light. If one day I fail and die, having no hope left at all, I will leave my inheritance behind as well. Fang Yuan thought. Even though he was an otherworldly demon, he had lived, struggled, and fought in this world for so long. He had already assimilated into it. 3. If he created a Fang Yuan true inheritance, he would encourage his inheritor to pursue eternal life as well. 3. Time passed quickly. 70 to 80 days went by. During this period, Fang Yuan did many missions. His name started to move up the rankings on the merit board. Swish, 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 ebb and flow. The moist sea breeze landed on his face. Fang Yuan had arrived at the sea market. He took a mission. It was to punish an unscrupulous merchant in this sea market. Sea markets were very popular in Eastern Sea. They varied in sizes, being small, middle, large, and super sea markets. If one classified them according to time, there would be temporary and permanent sea markets. The sea market was the place where cultivation resources were gathered and exchanged. In this paradise, there were sea markets as well. This was a permanent sea market. Even though it was not open all year round, most of the time during the year, it was open. The core of the sea market was an island. This island would be submerged for a period each year. That was the time the sea market closed. When the island emerges, the sea market would open. Outside the island, there were many gu houses in the shape of boats. Their decks would be linked together to form this peripheral sea market. Standing on the deck, Fang Yuan was surrounded by people. There were human gu masters and also mermen. There were many mermen, almost half of the population. This was very rare in the 5 regions. After all, humans were the dominant race. The other variant humans were all suppressed and had no living space. They had to live while keeping a low profile. Come, take a look. This is a superb crystal coral. There are 3 gu house river boats left. Quickly buy them before they are sold out. Purchasing grand soil, I will buy as many as you can sell. Shouting, clamoring, and bargaining noises were everywhere. They entered Fang Yuan's ears as he felt a sense of liveliness around him. Large numbers of gu masters were displaying goods on the deck and creating their stalls. Very few mortals were in charge of the businesses. Fang Yuan went past gu house after gu house. Going towards the core island at the center of the sea market, he had already investigated. The mission was to punish an unscrupulous merchant, and he was on the island. Of course, the mission was just a secondary objective. His true goal was to obtain intel. This sea market was the closest to demon suppression regret crying sea. Because there was a large number of Gu masters and forces here, Fang Yuan had a high chance of getting useful information about regret Gu here. Even though Fang Yuan had arrived here for a long time, he did not manage to enter demon suppression regret, crying see even once. Inside this paradise, Gu immortals did not have much freedom of mobility. Like the first mission, he could only move around the island. There was a limit to the distance he could go. Every mission had this same restriction.To return to the merit obelisk. All the Gu immortal had to do was to recite, return 3 times in their mind. From this, Fang Yuan could feel Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable's powerful methods. Even with Fang Yuan's deep foundations and rank 8 cultivation level, he could not unravel Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable's arrangements, even though he had not stopped researching about this merit obelisk in the paradise. Other than that, Gu immortals were also restricted in communication. Firstly, they could not connect to Treasure Yellow Heaven or the outside world. Secondly, they could not talk to each other. Precisely so, they had to use the crude method of leaving information path mortal Gu in front of the merit obelisk. This should be the place. A moment later, Fang Yuan stopped in his tracks. He was at a gambling den. The door had 3 words written on it: Golden Jade House. Golden Jade House was at the center of the island. It was a place of highest authority in this sea market. Ordinary Gu masters could not enter. This place had strict security, but how could mortal methods stop Fang Yuan? I should attempt the rock gambling too. Fang Yuan smiled to himself. Punishing the unscrupulous merchant did not mean killing them. Fang Yuan was a merchant once. He had managed his own gambling den. He knew what the perfect way to make a gambling den merchant suffer was. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan stepped in. Memories surfaced in his mind once again. Who will gamble with me? Even the saintess is afraid. Would you people dare? A muscular merman shouted arrogantly. Around him, there were many human Gu masters and mermen. Most of the mermen were looking at him angrily. They could only grit their teeth. This Luda is too despicable. He dares to provoke saintess openly in the sea market. He does not have the guts. He is merely backed by Frost Tide Tribe's leader. This cannot go on. It will sully saintess' reputation. What do we do? The blue-scaled and red-scaled guards looked at each other in worry. So what? Xiahan Mo smiled. Let him be arrogant. No matter how much reputation I lose, he cannot shake my foundation. Since he is doing this to provoke me now, it means they are already panicking. We do not need to bother with this. We can win if we continue with our original plan. Hearing this, the red-scaled and blue-scaled guards felt a sense of realization. Saintess is right. This Luda is just a dancing clown. But I feel really bad for letting Saintess suffer such a humiliation. Can't any of our mermen stand up to face this Luda? Xiahan Mo smiled. Luda is a rank 4 expert. He has reputation built over a decade in this sea market. I understand why no mermen are standing up for us. We need to understand their circumstances. As she said that, a voice reverberated in the area. I will gamble with you. Who was it? Who dared to challenge Luda's authority? Everyone turned to look. A human Gu master walked out of the crowd. Xiahan Mo was stunned as the 2 guards said, It's the human Gu master we saved. The merman Gu master Luda was very surprised. He frowned as he looked at Fang Yuan, saying in a grim tone, Human Gu master, these are the affairs of mermen. You really want to interfere? To speak the truth, your saintess saved my life before. I need to repay this debt. Fang Yuan had a firm attitude. He spoke to Luda without fear. This lad. We did not waste our effort in saving him. The 2 guards nodded. Xiahan Mo sighed. Let's go out. He is an outsider. We cannot let him sacrifice himself for nothing. The 2 guards were surprised. They quickly stopped her. Saintess, you analyzed the situation earlier. We cannot show up. Once we do, we will fall into their trap. In the den, Luda had a sinister expression as he laughed from anger. Good. Human Gu master, since you want to die, don't blame me. I have already explained the rules of the gamble. Let's go. I will let you choose first. We will see who finds better Gu worms. You can choose first. Fang Yuan's gaze flickered with mysterious light as he smiled calmly. The first round was quick. Fang Yuan won. The second round took a lot longer, but Fang Yuan still won. Human Gu master, I underestimated you. Tell me your name. You are qualified to take up space in my memory. Luda had a solemn expression. He looked at Fang Yuan in a different light. I am Gu Yu Fang Yuan. Remember that. I owned gambling dens in the past. Fang Yuan suddenly raised his voice. The final round. Go ahead. Lu De chose a rock silently. Next, he shattered all of the rocks in the den. You are breaking the rules. Fang Yuan's expression changed. Luda laughed. Rules? I said that both sides cannot attack each other, but that does not include these rocks. I can confirm that this rock contains a goo worm. While you are empty-handed, no matter what goo worm I have, you are bound to lose. Lad, you dared to interfere with just rank 3 cultivation level, and especially in the sea market that I have managed for a decade. You can suicide. I won't have to dirty my hands. Fang Yuan raised his fists, ready to fight a battle to the death. Hold up. Everyone moved aside to open up a pathway as Xiehan Mo walked into the den with a cold expression. Chapter 1659, Xia Lin's Rock Gambling. Chapter 1659, Xia Lin's Rock Gambling Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios pushing aside his memories. Fang Yuan walked into Golden Jade House. This gambling den was quite high-end. There were tens of huge rocks in the hall. Behind the hall were many rooms with an assortment of rock, dissecting goo worms for the customers to enjoy using. Of course, experienced rock dissecting goo masters were also ready on site. Whether these rocks contained goo worms, Fang Yuan could easily find out. He was a goo immortal. Immortal investigative methods could find mortal goo with ease. Similarly, even if the goo worm inside was extremely weakened, he could heal them. Even if they could not be healed, don't forget that Fang Yuan was a refinement path quasi-supreme. He could obtain basically all the mortal goo that were currently here with great ease. Of course, there existed such things as immortal rocks as well, or rather, immortal materials. After immortal goo seal themselves and hibernate, the corresponding Dao marks immortal material would form on their surface. Most immortal investigative methods would be ineffective against them. Fang Yuan was about to use his methods to teach this unscrupulous merchant in Golden Jade House a lesson when suddenly, he heard some commotion behind the hall. You are dishonest. Mermaid Xia Lin shouted with anger and shock. I'm dishonest? How so? This is clearly recorded in the information path goo worm. Even though you returned a sum, a large portion has not been repaid. Standing before the mermaid was a merman. He was large like a bear. There was a scar on his face, giving him a sinister aura. You. Xia Lin pointed at the merman with red eyes. You guys are shameless. You changed the agreement details. Our contract was 10% interest, but you raised it to 60%. The scarred merman's face became solemn. He looked at Xia Lin with a vicious gaze. Young lady, you cannot spread fake news like that. Are you trying to ruin our reputation? This is detrimental to our business. Who would come to our shop after this? Can you bear the cost of our losses? Screw you. Even if I die, I will expose this shop's evil deeds. The scarred merman changed his tone as he said eerily, Die? You are too naive. Sometimes, being alive is worse than dying. Light flashed in Fang Yuan's eyes. This was a familiar voice. He was reminded of the mermaid girl from a few months ago. Why was she here? Xia Lin's tears fell from her face. Several months ago, her only family member, her grandfather, died. Merman Sea funerals were very expensive. In order to bury her grandfather, she had to borrow primeval stones. To repay the debt, she had to take a risk and collect black oil, almost dying in the earth trench as a result. Fortunately, she met Fang Yuan and was saved miraculously. Xia Lin also obtained gather oil goo from Fang Yuan. Her efficiency in collecting oil increased. She quickly gathered a huge amount of primeval stones from selling oil. She brought these primeval stones to Golden Jade House to repay the debt, but this shop was too shameless. They actually changed her agreement terms. Xia Lin had the urge to die. Her only family was gone. She was all alone in this world. She was ostracized by her tribe since a young age. All these circumstances made her feel lost and dejected. The world had turned gray. She could not find any joy in living. What is so scary about death? I'll die and end it all. Thinking of this, Xia Lin took action with a yell. Swoosh! An explosion was heard as a torrent was shot out. The scarred merman did not expect that in this situation, a rank 2 goo master would dare to attack him. A rank 3, in his territory, the Golden Jade House. The scarred merman was caught unprepared. He was washed away by the torrent, crashing into the wall as many decorations shattered. The commotion was huge. The goo masters who were quietly choosing and dissecting rocks all came to. Watched out, a large number of eyes turned to look at Xiao Lin and the scarred merman. What happened? Hee, what else could it be? This golden jade house must have tricked the innocent again. Quiet. This golden jade house's owner is the tyrant around here. I heard that golden jade house often acts as loan sharks and exploits low-ranked goo masters. Let's not attract trouble. This is the problem of mermen. We humans have nothing to do with it. At this time, the scarred merman stood up from the rubble. You have such guts to attack me. I will make you wish you were dead. He walked towards Xiao Lin. She was pale with fright, suppressed by his aura, but she gritted her teeth and did not step back. The distance between the two shortened. When the scarred merman was about to attack, he heard a voice. Wait. The scarred merman's action stopped. He changed his expression of anger and ruthlessness as he lowered his head towards the person. Shopkeeper, what brings you here? This was Golden Jade House's owner, a big-bellied yellow-scaled merman. The yellow-scaled merman frowned. He shouted at the scarred merman. What are you doing? Are you trying to destroy my shop? Shopkeeper, she. Before the scarred merman finished his words, he was interrupted. How many times have I told you? We need to act peacefully. Peace brings fortune. Do you understand? Yes, yes. The scarred merman did not dare to retort. He nodded like an obedient child. The chill emerged in Xiao Lin's heart. She had gone through lots of difficulty. Being brought up by her grandfather, she had experienced the bright and dark sides of life. Someone who can make this scarred merman so respectful must be more terrifying. Xiao Lin knew this clearly. She looked at this yellow-scaled merman. Her alertness was raised to its limit. The yellow-scaled merman looked at Xiao Lin for some time before speaking. Little lady, don't worry. I am an understanding person. With me around, I will ensure that nobody attacks you. But I want you to be reasonable as well. Your debt is in black and white. Do you want to deny it? Hearing this, Xiao Lin felt enraged. You guys were shameless. You changed the terms on your own, from 10% to 60% interest. I do not owe you anything. I already repaid my debt. The yellow-scaled merman smiled even brighter now. Little lady, to think that your acting skills are so profound at such a young age. But it is no use. No matter how convincing you are, without evidence, you cannot prove anything. We have the agreement here. It is clearly stated, everyone can tell who is in the wrong. You. Xiao Lin pointed at the yellow-scaled merman, unable to say anything from anger. The yellow-scaled merman laughed as he waved his hand. Forget it. You are a young girl. I will not bully you. Others might say that my Golden Jade House is bullying customers. How about this? Repay half the debt, and I will let you go without any other problems. I am already very sincere. If you return it now, you will only pay 30% interest. Isn't that market rate? Tell me which moneylender isn't operating at this price? You said that we had a 10% interest? Who would believe you? Try and find it outside. Which shop would give that price? Xiao Lin's chest was bobbing up and down. Her eyes were reddened. The market was 30%. That was precisely why she borrowed from Golden Jade House. But to think that it was a trap, she had gotten scammed. Seeing that Xiao Lin was silent, the yellow-scaled merman took out an information path mortal goo. This is our loan agreement. If you return the money, I will return you this goo now. Xiao Lin was stunned before sneering. I do not have enough primeval stones. The yellow-scaled merman laughed as he clapped. Don't worry. You can use goo worms instead. I know you have a gather oil goo. You can use it to repay your debt. Xiao Lin heard this and realized at once. So that is your true goal. You want my gather oil goo? Oomph. This is a rank 5 goo. Are you insane? Even if I die, you won't get this goo. The surrounding goo masters went into a commotion upon hearing this. Gather oil goo? Did I hear wrongly? That rumored rank 5 goo that is the hot topic recently? I heard it has incredible efficiency in gathering black oil. Not just incredible, it is superb. Even though gather oil goo is rank 5, it does not expend primeval essence, but the goo master's bone marrow. Even rank 1 goo masters can use it. I heard that some people overused the gather oil goo and killed themselves. Sigh, those people have no restraint. If they use bone path goo worms with it, gather oil goo is very safe. Clap, clap, clap. The yellow-scaled merman clapped. Young lady, You are a smart girl. I am sure you know the logic that fortune attract wolves. How can a rank 2 goo master like you own a rank 5 goo? Take it out. Even if I let you off, others will still come after you. Hand it over and live a stable life. Isn't that better? No. Even if I die, I will not hand it over to a scumbag like you. Xiao Lin resisted with determination. The yellow-scaled merman felt a headache. It was difficult to take someone else's goo worm. She only needed one thought to self-detonate the goo. By then, the yellow-scaled merman's plan would be ruined. The best situation was for Xiao Lin to hand it over. Otherwise, he could use theft path methods. But theft path goo masters did not exist in this paradise. And even if there were theft path goo masters, stealing a rank 5 goo was too hard. The yellow-scaled merman was not flustered. He had already planned this and expected the situation. He could not force Xiao Lin too harshly now. Thus, he took a step back. How about this? I will give you a chance, but you must do the same. We can gamble. Gamble. We will gamble rocks and see who excavates goo. And if we both do, which one is better? We will decide the winner from 2 out of 3 victories. Xiao Lin smiled coldly. You are unscrupulous and went back on your words. How can I trust you after you changed the terms earlier? The yellow-scaled merman thought about it. He suddenly waved his hand as an information path mortal goo flew to Xiao Lin. Xiao Lin received it with deep shock. The yellow-scaled merman added, I can make an oath to the sea god. Mermen were different from humans. They had their racial religion. They believed in the sea god. Making an oath using the sea god's name was a huge matter. It proved that he was very sincere. Almost every merman's faith was in the sea god. The yellow-scaled merman said again in a sincere way. What are you hesitating for? Rock gambling depends on skill, but also luck. I gave you a chance. Don't go overboard. I will tell you the truth. This is your only way out today. You should seize the chance. The yellow-scaled merman used both the stick and the carrot. Xiao Lin was greatly flustered. While she hesitated, a voice suddenly said in her mind, Don't be afraid. Gamble with him. I am here. Master Chu. Instantly, Xiao Lin almost screamed from joy. Fang Yuan added, But you must change the gambling terms because this is too mild. If you trust me, we will make this a huge gamble. I trust you, Master Chu. Xiao Lin responded without any hesitation. Her life was saved by Fang Yuan. If he wanted to harm her, there was no need to save her. My life was saved by Master Chu. If he wants to harm me, so be it. I will just return this life to him. Thinking like this, Xiao Lin responded in her mind. Master Chu, tell me what to do. I will follow your instructions. Chapter 1660, Mastermind. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios' rock gambling was truly a matter of luck. Nobody could deny it. Be they goo master or goo immortal. But the yellow-scaled merman was very confident in himself, because he was prepared. All these years, he had gambled with the rocks in his own golden jade house. He had observed, analyzed, and chosen some rocks with great precision. He was very confident in this gamble. These rocks naturally did not contain valuable things. Otherwise, he would have taken them himself. He would not leave them in the shop. He had to maintain his business. Most of these rocks would have goo worms. Even though they were not valuable, they were a form of excitement for the customers. This was like fish bait. They would want to continue gambling and investing. The yellow-scaled merman knew the locations of where these rocks were placed. Sometimes, he even showed off his rock gambling skills in front of customers, opening goo worms and showing that he was a great expert in this rock gambling activity. Now, the yellow-scaled merman was using these rocks to gamble against Xiao Lin. He was very confident in himself. But in the first round, he tasted defeat. Xiao Lin opened a rank 3 goo worm. It was superior to his. This was a good start. The surrounding goo masters were shocked. The yellow-scaled merman was also suspicious and uncertain. Was this mermaid girl a hidden expert? He had suggested a 2 out of 3 format earlier, but Xiao Lin requested to change it to 5 contests. The bet was higher now. He staked the entire golden jade house. At the same time, if she lost once, she would have to hand over the gather oil goo. But now, Xiao Lin won. Not only did she keep gather oil goo, she even won 20% of golden jade house. What a joke, I lost. The yellow-scaled merman could not believe it. He stared at the mermaid girl, his suspicions fading slowly. The yellow-scaled merman was very experienced. He could tell that Xia Lin was a newbie. Her expression of joy after getting a goo worm was not fake. She was genuine. Furthermore, Xia Lin did not know how to dissect rocks. She had asked the rock dissecting goo master in Golden Jade House to open her rock. Damn it. She had some dog shit luck. 2-inch thankfully, we changed the rules from 3 rounds to 5 rounds. I have a lot of chances left. I am not in a passive spot. Thinking of this, the yellow-scaled merman looked at the rock dissecting goo master behind Xia Lin with a subtle gaze. The rock dissecting goo master nodded mildly. The yellow-scaled merman smiled to himself secretly. In this situation, no matter what rock Xia Lin got, even if there was a goo, it would be destroyed. How could she possibly win against him? The second round. I will choose first. Xia Lin said, go ahead. The yellow-scaled merman smiled and replied. Xia Lin walked around for a while and was dazzled. I will choose this. Suddenly, she stopped as she pointed at a weird rock. This rock was very strange. It had multiple holes and was distorted in shape. It was not very compact and felt like a pile of sand. Normally speaking, such a sandy rock would not have any goo worm. Seeing Xia Lin's choice, the yellow-scaled merman laughed. He pretended to walk around, touching and knocking the rocks. After a while, he chose a huge rock and said, this is my choice. The rock dissection started. The yellow-scaled merman did it himself, while Xia Lin asked the rock dissecting goo master. This was an open gamble. They dissected the rocks in the hall. More and more spectators came. They talked among themselves as the newcomers learned of this gamble and gained interest. They chose to stay and watch. For goo masters, this was a huge gamble. One was the entire Golden Jade House. It had a lot of funds after years of operation. The other was a superb rank 5 gather oil goo. The bet was almost equal on both sides. Gather oil goo was just too amazing. It generated immense profits by collecting black oil. The yellow-scaled merman chose a huge rock. He needed some time to dissect it. For Xia Lin, it was very rapid. The sandy rock was just too rough and coarse. Xia Lin's rock dissecting goo master was very casual in his actions. He had no pressure. If he destroyed the goo worm in the process, the yellow-scaled merman would be very happy after all. But at this time, Xia Lin said, use the gray soil method. The rock dissecting goo master stopped his action. He said, are you sure? This method has limited effect on sandy rocks. Yes. Xia Lin responded. The rock dissecting goo master shook his head. Little lady, I am not lying. I will not lie since I am the one dissecting this. Why don't you ask around? Everyone knows that the gray soil method has little effect on sandy rocks. I do not need that. Just do as you are told. This is in the agreement. Xia Lin insisted. All right, all right. The rock dissecting goo master nodded. Once he used the gray soil method, the sandy rock's dissection became painfully slow. The rock dissecting goo master was very annoyed. Earlier it was like he was using a knife to cut tofu, but now he was stabbing it with a needle while expending even more primeval essence. Use the flame smoking method. A moment later, Xia Lin added. The surrounding goo masters gasped. They wanted to stop her. The rock dissecting goo master said as well. The flame smoking method will penetrate the rock. If there is a goo inside, it will die before it is excavated. Just do as you are told. Xia Lin said expressionlessly. The surrounding goo masters sighed. Someone said, is this girl really gambling? She cannot even be considered a newbie. She is just toying around. But Xia Lin had a firm expression that was somewhat relaxed. The rock dissecting goo master shook his head. Since you want that, let's do it. Everyone can tell that I am not sabotaging you. This is your request. Use the dripping method, blue mark method, planting chi method. Next, Xia Lin gave several precise instructions. The sandy rock was already fist-sized, but no goo worms came out yet. The rock dissecting goo master had an ugly expression. He felt that Xia Lin was purposely toying with him. She said those names that she knew randomly. All right, give it to me. I will dissect it myself. Xia Lin added, what? The rock dissecting goo master was stunned but quickly reacted as he let out a breath of air, passing the rock to Xia Lin. Xia Lin bit her tongue and spat out blood at the rock, before using gather oil goo to apply suction force on the rock. Crack. The rock cracked. A rank 3 goo worm was exposed. There was a goo? What goo is this? I have never seen it before. It is asleep. By the looks of it, it is complete and uninjured. The surrounding goo masters went into a commotion. The rock dissecting goo master was stunned completely. He looked at Xia Lin with a dumbfounded expression, thinking suspiciously, "Is this girl really tricking us all?" The yellow-scaled merman also stopped his dissection with a dark expression. Even if he opened it, his rock only had a rank 2 goo, but the other party had a living rank 3 goo. There was a goo. Master Chu was not wrong after all. Xia Lin was overjoyed. Among the crowd, Fang Yuan smiled lightly. There was no goo in this sandy rock. There was only a goo material. Fang Yuan instructed Xia Lin to indirectly manipulate this rock, dissecting goo master, and refine the goo material. Eventually, when Xia Lin dripped her blood and used gather oil goo, the final step was completed. Normally, newly refined goo worms would be active, but Fang Yuan used a unique goo refinement method that made the goo worm hibernate. This allowed him to trick everybody that was around. Nobody saw through this or found any flaws. Quasi-supreme refinement path attainment level. It was not a joke. Everyone was not calm. They looked with Xia Lin with a different gaze now. "Who sent you here?" The yellow-scaled merman shouted. His composure was gone. He realized something wrong. Thoughts surged in his mind. He had offended many people over these years. He felt that Xia Lin was a bait. He had fallen into a trap. This rank 5 goo was used to trap him. It was truly a huge gamble. Calm down, calm down. I cannot take any more risks. The other party came prepared. The yellow-scaled merman wiped off his cold sweat as he focused his gaze. He had a trump card. There was a special batch of rocks in this golden jade house. These rocks were not natural. The yellow-scaled merman had created them artificially. He first made living or dead goo worms look like they were in a hibernating state. He then added rock fragments around them and eventually created artificial rocks. Rocks that contained goo worms often had some observable traits, making them different from ordinary rocks. These kinds of rocks were not easy to find. Sometimes, in order to resolve the lack of supply of gambling rocks, the yellow-scaled merman would create fake rocks himself. Of course, not all of these rocks would contain goo worms. Some only had these observable traits. The third round, defeat. The fourth round, defeat again. The goo masters watching this gasped. Nobody had expected this to happen. Everyone looked at Xia Lin with wariness and solemnness. The yellow-scaled merman turned pale. He gritted his teeth. Ruthless light flashed in his eyes. He was like a jackal forced to the end of a cliff. The final round. I cannot afford to lose. I need to use my strongest trump card. The yellow-scaled merman's trump card was naturally overpowering. He hid the carcass of a rank 5 goo in a fake rock. According to the gambling rules, only a living rank 5 goo could beat him. Both sides chose their rocks and dissected them. Snap. Fang Yuan suddenly snapped his fingers, using a time path immortal killer move 1. The entire golden jade house, and even the island became still. Anything and everything became motionless. Fang Yuan walked out of the crowd, coming in front of the yellow-scaled merman who was focusing on the flame and dissecting his rock carefully. Fang Yuan squeezed the rock lightly. He saw the carcass of a rank 5 goo. Next, he placed this carcass into Xia Lin's rock and returned to the crowd. But the next moment, time resumed.